Hey guys, how you doing? This Rick. Don't let the shirt fool you. You know, I haven't done anything all day hardly, and it's just a shame, And I got stuff to do, I really do. But this is so much funner. It's always so much funner. Anyways, I thought I promised you guys that on Sundays I'd give you I'd do like a a little fairy tale or something like that. As long as it played along the lines of what was in our what's in our studies and stuff like that. And so playing the coach's ear about a week or so ago, to a whole mess of these in a row. You find a good number of our nursery tales have the code in them, and it's really quite clever how they've done it. But anyways, let's see. This is called The Frog Prince. All right, and The Frog Prince, most interesting indeed it is. So let's sit down and let's have a listen. All right, and lend me an ear. And what I'll do is I'll pause in between each one of these things. It is written in 4 parts. The first part, of course, chapter, we'll look at them as like chapter 1s, or what is 1, 2, 3, and 4 through all of this. The first one goes from 1 through 8. The second part goes from 1 through 10. The third one goes from 1 through 11. And the fourth one goes from 1 to 4. And those are the verses. And what I'll do is I'll pause in between them in case you want to keep track of, which one's going to be talking about what. But it's most interesting, and I'm going to go real fast because on 6 means even, and it shows up in here, even. And then, it's just very interesting. And something else to listen for is when Jack in the beanstalk, that's when his mother sends him upstairs with no food and she tosses the things out the window. This is coming down. And then later on he wakes up. In the morning, he rises up to find this, and then he goes. So there's an up and down that we often will see in writing by the number system, because if nothing really great is happening on number 7, then it's on the way down, all right. But it still has something to do with kingship or something beautiful, something about God, because that's the Lord today, and that's where kings, that's where the boss would be, and that's God. So anyways, let's not waste any time with this, okay? And let's see. One fine evening, a young princess put on her bonnet and clogs and went out to take a walk by herself in the wood. When she came to a cool spring with water with a rose in the middle of it, she sat herself down by it and rest. Now she had a golden ball in her hand, which was her favorite plaything, and she was always tossing it up into the air and catching it again as it fell. One time she tossed it so high that she missed catching it when it fell, and the ball bounded away and rolled along on the ground until at last it fell down into the spring. She looked after the ball, but it was so deep that she could not see the bottom of it. She began to cry and said, "Alas, if only I could get my ball again, I would give all my fine clothes and jewels and everything I have in the world." While she was speaking, a frog put his head out of the water and said, "Princess, why do you cry so bitterly?" "Alas, what can you do for me, you nasty frog? My golden ball has fallen into the spring." The frog said, "I do not want your pearls and jewels and fine clothes, but if you would love me and let me live with you, let me eat off from your golden plate and sleep on your bed, I will bring your ball again." "What nonsense," thought the princess. "This silly frog is talking. He can never even get out of the spring to visit me, and therefore I will tell him he shall have what he asks." So she said to the frog, "Well, if you will bring me my ball, I will do as you ask." The frog put his head down, dived deep under the water, and after a while came up again with the ball in his mouth, and he threw it to the edge of the spring. Now we're on chapter 2. Soon as the young princess saw the ball, she ran to pick it up. She was so overjoyed with it to have it back in her hand again that she never thought of the frog, but ran with it as fast as she could home. The frog called after her, "Stay, princess, and take me with you," said. But she did not stop to hear a word. The next day, just as the princess had sat down to dinner, she heard a strange noise. Tap, tap, plash, plash. As if something was coming up the marble staircase. And soon afterwards there was a gentle knock at the door, and a little voice cried out and said, "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy love here. And mind the words that you and I said, by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." The princess ran to the door and opened it, and there she saw the frog, whom she had quite forgotten, and the sight sadly frightened her. And shutting the door as fast as she could, came back to her seat. The king, her father, seeing that something had frightened her, asked her what was the matter. "There's this nasty frog," she said, "at the door, that lifted my ball out of the spring for me this morning. I told him that he could live with me here, thinking he could never get out of the spring. And there he is at the door, and he wants to come in." While she was speaking, the frog knocked on the door and said, "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door to thy true love here." End of chapter 2. Chapter 3 starts off with them saying, "And mind the words that you and I said, by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade." Then the king said to the princess, "As you have given thy word, you must keep it. So go let him in." She did so, and the frog hopped into the room, and then straight on, tap, tap, plash, plash, from the bottom of the room to the top, till he came up close to the table where the princess sat. "Pray lift me up on a chair," he said to the princess, "and let me sit next to you." Soon as she had done this frog said, "Put your plate near to me, that I might eat out of it." This she did. And when he had eaten as much as he could, he said, "Now I am tired. Carry me upstairs and put me into your bed." And the princess, though unwilling, took him up in her hand and put him upon her pillow and upon her bed, where he slept all night long. As soon as it was light, the frog hopped downstairs, and went. Let's see, what does he do? He jumps up, he hopped downstairs, and went out of the house. That's number 7. "Now then," thought the princess, "at last he is gone, and I shall be troubled with him no more." But she was mistaken, for when night came again, she had the same, God damn it. But she was mistaken, and when night came again, she heard the same tapping at the door. And the frog came once more and said, "Open the door, my princess dear, open the door to thy love. And mind the words that you and I said, by the fountain cool in the greenwood shade. And when the princess opened the door, the frog came in and slept upon her pillow, as before, till the morning broke. And the third night he did the same. But when the princess awoke on the following morning, she was astonished to find instead of the frog a handsome prince gazing on her with the most beautiful eyes she had ever seen, and standing at the head of her bed. That's the end of 3. 4 becomes world. He told her that he had been enchanted by a spiteful fairy who had changed him into a frog, and that he was fated so till a princess should take him out of the spring, let him eat from her plate, and sleep upon the bed for 3 nights. And said the prince, you, said the prince, have broken this cruel charm, and now I have nothing to wish for, but that you should go with me to my father's kingdom, where I will marry you, and I will love you as long as you live. The young princess, you may be sure, was not long in saying yes to all of this. And as they spoke, a brightly covered coach drove up with 8 beautiful horses, decked with plumes of feathers and a golden harness. And behind the coach rode the prince's servant, faithful Heinrich, who had bewailed the misfortunes of his dear master during this enchantment so long and so bitterly that his heart had well nigh burst. Then they took leave of the king and got into the coach with the 8 horses, and all set out, full of joy and merriment, for the prince's kingdom, which they reached safely, and there lived happily and a great many years. Most interesting. I hope everybody kept up with that. Oh my goodness. It's just absolutely loaded with all these wonderful things. At the end, what they're talking about at the 8, that's the 4 worlds, the 8 in duality. You know, everything came together with the 8 beautiful horses and the plumes. Everyone, this is like when the white horse comes at the end, you know, but this is just everybody is all in sync, you know. This is it's the idea that all of them got feathers. It's just really, really cool. Written in all the same language as the other ones. As soon as it was light, the frog jumped up, hopped downstairs, and went out of the house. This is 7. Just the cool tap, tap, flash, flash. You know, this comes in here all around the number 4 is whenever they introduce that business. It's just a really cool thing. I wanted to notice, if you notice that in the back, that the guy who was kind of crazy, that Heinrich guy, Heinrich actually means like he's the boss. What did that say? Because you have to read these things. They said, oh, Heinrich, oh, you know, oh, good old Heinrich, faithful Heinrich, it says, who bewailed, you know, it means that he took the torture. It was torture to him. It was torture to him. Do you understand? He was the one that was going through. He was the sacrifice, you see? And they all lived happily ever after. So he was the one that went up to go and get all of this. He was the prince that went up there to do that. The Prince of Peace. Oh my God, it's just so beautiful. I just hope you guys like that. This is a short one. It's probably going to take 3 hours to get up. But anyways, happy Sunday, and think about that. You know, go and look up some of those things. You know, and you'll just be marveled at how things work. You know, we're the frog. We have this idea that, you know, through the fairy tales, they're a little more fun, where, you know, you can see that we are going to turn from this animal into something more beautiful if you get this chance to go in and connect. And so, you know, here's 8 beautiful horses drawn together, drawing the horse, you know, the carriage, You know, the whole world is in that little place right there. The whole family at the end. It's all in one place. And they're all happy. You know, happy as a clam. And with the golden leash, the idea that now it's all harnessed and we're all one. It's just a beautiful story, you know. When it comes down to this code, the little ball that she plays with, her father telling her, you know, this was on a, hey, you said that you were going to do this. You said you opened this. You said this. You got to go and stick with it. It's just really, really cool. Anyways, I hope the best for you. I love y'all. Just a little quickie, you know. It's a Sunday night quickie. Best to you.